She hid the truth that she was pregnant with the mayor's child, because his family was their political enemy. Can you imagine carrying such a heavy secret? 6 years later, the man was shocked to discover that the little boy who needed a blood transfusion from him was actually his son. "What the hell," he muttered, after bumping into a few people. "Can't you see we're all working here?" "Sorry, we're all just trying to do our jobs," replied one of the reporters he had bumped into. "Let others through." "We're all journalists here," someone added. "That's enough. We're in a hurry." As a local journalist, it was Francine's job to cover the groundbreaking of a new community center, spearheaded by the town's mayor. She didn't really want the assignment, but when her fellow journalist bailed, she was stuck with it. Once inside the venue, the media team quickly found their spots. "People never learn," Francine muttered under her breath. The host welcomed everyone and passed the microphone to Mayor Jasper Sanchez. "Thank you so much to my fellow Americans here today," Jasper began, his voice echoing across the small-town venue. Francine crossed her arms as the mayor went on. She was the only one in the room who wasn't smiling at him. "Good morning, and thank you all for the warm welcome," Jasper said, "especially here in our beloved town. To the elderly and the children who squeezed their way in, just to witness the opening of this foundation, thank you." After his opening remarks, members of the press were given the chance to ask questions before the ribbon cutting. "If anyone would like to ask the mayor questions, you'll all get your turn," the MC announced. "No problem," Jasper said, smiling. "I'm willing to answer all your questions." What secrets could unravel from a single question? Stay tuned to Dark Voices to find out. Francine was the first to be called. "Good morning, Mayor Sanchez," she began. "You mentioned you passed a law to protect farmlands. How do you respond to accusations that your father, the former mayor, took over vast farmland from poor farmers?" Jasper nodded slowly. "Thank you for that question, Miss Reyes." "Francine Reyes," she answered flatly. "As far as I know, there has been no court ruling on the allegations from last year," Jasper said. "Those farmers were compensated, as everyone is aware. In fact, my father, the former Mayor Sanchez, was the one who proposed the very law you're referring to protect farmers. He believed farmers are the backbone of our economy. Without agriculture, our economy will collapse." Francine clenched her jaw. She knew all of this too well. Her father had represented those farmers in court against the Sanchez family. "Any more questions, Miss Reyes?" But before she could respond, Jasper was gone. Francine excused herself and headed to the restroom. On her way out, she spotted Jasper entering his black SUV. Oddly, someone followed him. She thought it was a bodyguard, until she saw Jasper suddenly collapse just outside the car. "Mayor," she cried, running toward him. Please don't let them know," Jasper groaned, clutching his side. "What? What are you talking about?" she asked frantically. "Oh my God, you're losing so much blood. Just help me." "Get in my car," he gasped without thinking. Francine helped him up and guided him into her vehicle. She didn't care what consequences would follow. She opened the back door and helped him lie down. As he collapsed into the seat, she lost her balance and fell over him, her hands braced on either side of his body, their faces inches apart. "Sorry," she muttered, locking eyes with him. "Grab the first aid kit and the icebox in the back," he instructed calmly, as if this weren't unusual for him. She reached over the seat and handed them to him, eyeing the emergency supplies and extra clothes in the back. She didn't ask, but when he began unbuttoning his shirt, her eyes widened and she quickly turned away. "What are you doing?" she asked. "I need to see the wound. How else am I going to treat it?" She tried to focus only on his face, but when he rested his head in her lap and said, "Just give me the needle," she did as told. There was an ice pack, too. She handed it over. When he pressed it to his side and winced, she couldn't help but stare at him, so vulnerable, so different from the sharp-tongued, cocky mayor she always saw in public. "I'll do it," she offered softly. Jasper's eyes met hers again. She started to clean and dress the wound. The air between them grew heavier. Your friend's probably wondering where you are, Jasper murmured. I need to get back, Francine replied. Put this on, he said, handing her a jacket. What for? There's blood on your dress. Someone might panic if they see it. You're not going to tell anyone. Jasper's eyes darted to the press badge around her neck. Listen, Francine, if word gets out about what happened to me, I know who's going to be blamed, and it's you. Don't let this leave the car, ever. Francine nodded. I understand. I won't say a word, even if it kills me. Jasper narrowed his eyes, testing her sincerity. She put on the jacket and stepped out of the car, replaying everything that had just happened. Her heart raced. What happens when secrets pile up and the truth fights to come out? Keep watching Dark Voices for the shocking twist. The next morning, Francine went straight to the living room for breakfast before heading off to work. An hour later, she arrived at the local news office downtown. Oh, there you are, her boss greeted her. Is something wrong? Francine asked. There's someone waiting for you in your office. An important guest. He's been here for a while now. Please don't keep him waiting. She hurried to her office. When she opened the door, there he was, Jasper, sitting with a serious look on his face. What are you doing here? She asked sharply. We need to talk, he said, getting up and shutting the door behind her. I told you I'm not saying anything about what happened. I just need to be sure, Jasper said. There are only 3 people who could possibly know what happened to me, you, and whoever stabbed me. No CCTV in that area. So, who would be the first to know? You're here accusing me without any evidence, just because I was there, Francine shot back. That's not how this works. Jasper stepped closer. She backed up until she felt the wall behind her. Even the air between them was charged with tension. I'm telling you, Miss Reyes, Jasper said coldly. If I find out you leaked this to get a story, you won't be the only one in trouble. Your family could get dragged into it, too. What the hell is wrong with you? Francine hissed. I'm not scared of you. You should be, he said, his eyes locked on hers. The rest of Francine's day was a blur. Jasper's threats looped in her mind. When she finished work, she joined her co-workers for drinks at a bar in the city. The place was big, clean, and popular among people from nearby towns. To avoid being recognized, many of them wore masks. Francine did the same. I'll order for everyone, Paul said. Let's drink, someone cheered. The drinks came quickly, and Francine seemed determined to keep up with the others, maybe even outpace them. But after a few rounds, she clutched her stomach. I think I'm going to be sick. Her co-workers laughed. That's what you get for stealing our shots. Francine ran for the bathroom and accidentally bumped into a man along the way. Sorry, she muttered without stopping. After rinsing her face at the sink, she stepped out, only to find a group of men blocking her path. What do you guys want? She asked, tired and irritable. I'm not in the mood. You're alone, one of them said with a smirk. Don't mess with me, she warned. As one of them reached out, another man grabbed him and shoved him back. If the lady says no, you better understand what that means. The voice was calm but commanding. The other men backed off instantly. Francine looked up. Jasper. Just as she registered what was happening, everything started to spin. Before she could hit the ground, Jasper caught her. He lifted her into his arms, cradling her like a bride, and carried her out. Francine stirred later, disoriented. The room was dim, definitely not her place. She sat up and saw a man sitting at the edge of the bed. What the hell happened? She demanded. You're clothed, aren't you? Jasper said. You passed out. I brought you here. You can go if you want. Francine didn't say anything. She tried to get out of bed, but tripped, landing face-first into Jasper's chest. Their lips met. She jerked away. Sorry, I didn't mean to. They locked eyes, both still wearing their party masks. Something about his gaze sent heat rushing through her. She didn't know when the last time was she felt this kind of spark. Almost on impulse, she kissed him again. He didn't move at first. Embarrassed, she began to pull back, until he grabbed her and kissed her back, deeply and hungrily. She gasped as her back hit the wall. Her resistance crumbled. His kisses grew more demanding. He led her to the bed and sat her down. She sat face to face with the unmistakable bulge beneath his jeans. "Here, touch it," he whispered, guiding her hand. Francine was trembling. It felt real. It had been 5 years since she'd done anything like this. The moment consumed her. Buttons came undone. Clothes fell away. He climbed over her, laying her flat on the bed, lips returning to hers. She drowned in the sensation, electric, intoxicating. Every inch he touched sent her nerves aflame. Her soft moans escaped without control, especially when his hands slipped between her thighs. She bit her lip to contain them. "That's right, baby," he whispered into her ear. She didn't know how many times he claimed her that night. She only knew he was gentle, tender. She eventually fell asleep in his arms. The next morning, Francine woke with a pounding headache and sore limbs. She turned and saw a man sleeping beside her. That's when it hit her. Last night wasn't a dream. She stared at the sleeping figure beside her and nearly fell off the bed when he moved. As he turned toward her, his face came into view. "Oh my God," she whispered, covering her mouth. It was Jasper. They had both worn masks last night, which explained why they hadn't recognized each other. But now, in the clear light of day, there was no mistaking him. Panicking, Francine slipped out of bed, dressed quickly, and rushed out without saying a word. Her phone was buzzing non-stop, missed calls, messages from friends. She went home in a daze and stepped into the living room. "You're home early," her father said, surprised. "Yeah, I stayed with coworkers after the party," she lied. Her dad nodded. "All right, get some rest. I'll tell your mom to cook something for you." "No, it's okay. I'm just going to shower," she replied quickly, hurrying upstairs. In her room, she sat on the bed for hours, dazed. Every time she closed her eyes, she relived it all, his touch, his kisses. How many times he took her that night? "You shameless woman," she scolded herself, slapping her cheeks playfully to snap out of it. How could she possibly tell anyone she had a one-night stand with the mayor? 2 days passed. Francine returned to work but tried to avoid anything that might involve Jasper. She didn't want any more encounters, not after what happened. Unfortunately, fate had other plans. Her news agency assigned her to cover a tree-planting event led by none other than Mayor Jasper. She cursed under her breath the entire drive to the site, grumbling like a child as she walked into the woods where the event was being held. She paused to fix her shoelaces, stood up, and nearly hurled her camera when she saw who was standing directly in front of her. She gasped. "Jesus! Why are you acting like you've seen a ghost?" Jasper asked, amused. Without answering, she turned and ran. All she wanted was to avoid speaking to him. She had no idea if he remembered that night. She prayed he didn't. Maybe he was too drunk. Trying to ignore him, she busied herself with planting saplings. Later, while heading to the buffet prepared for the media, she purposely chose a spot far away from Jasper. She looked like a thief, avoiding someone who might recognize her. "Why are you sitting here alone?" a voice asked behind her. She turned, and there he was again. "You following me?" she asked. "Of course not. I was just wondering who was moving around back here." "It's you." "Okay, you've confirmed I'm not a ghost. Now, please leave me alone." She turned to walk away, but Jasper's next words stopped her. "Are you avoiding me?" Her heart skipped. Did he remember? "No," she said quickly. "Is it that obvious this is about the incident?" Her stomach dropped. "What incident?" she asked nervously. "My threat to you," he said casually. Francine sighed in relief. "I just want to say I'm sorry," he continued. I lost my temper. I know now you had nothing to do with what happened. I've taken care of it. Well, that's good, she said firmly. Because if you kept bothering me, I'd sue you. My dad's a lawyer. I'd have no problem making a case. Jasper chuckled. You're a firecracker. Maybe we've known each other longer than I realized. Maybe we could get along. You're insane, Francine muttered, walking away. But her heart was racing again, and she didn't know why. Maybe it was the shrimp and steak she just ate. A month later, Francine woke up feeling nauseous. She barely made it to the bathroom before vomiting. Dizzy and confused, she stared at herself in the mirror. Am I sick? She wondered. Maybe it's time to use that sick leave. She walked to the dining room, still in her pajamas. Her mom was already preparing breakfast. Good morning, Mom. Do we have any aspirin? My head's pounding. I threw up when I woke up. You might be pregnant, her mother said bluntly. Francine laughed. Pregnant? I don't even have a boyfriend. Her mom just shrugged. I'll make you something. But her words echoed in Francine's mind. 2 weeks delayed. The only man she'd been with was Jasper, and that was just once. One time shouldn't lead to pregnancy, right? Still, the thought gnawed at her. On her way to work, she stopped by a pharmacy and bought a pregnancy test. Good morning, Paul greeted as she walked in. She ignored him and headed straight to the restroom. Minutes later, she sat frozen, staring at the test. 2 red lines. Her hand flew to her mouth as she sank to the toilet lid, stunned and weak. Oh my God, how am I supposed to tell them? Worse yet, how would she ever tell Jasper? She knew exactly who the father was. There was no doubt. Francine kept the pregnancy a secret for 2 weeks. She tried her best to act normal, even though she woke up every morning feeling sick. She visited a few doctors just to be sure, and they all said the same thing: she was pregnant. One afternoon, while cleaning the living room, her mother came downstairs holding something in her hand. Francine's heart dropped. What is this? Her mom asked, holding up the hidden pregnancy test. Francine froze. Whose baby is that? Her mother demanded. Francine's father, who had just walked in, stared at her in shock. You're pregnant? He asked. Answer us and stop crying. I thought you were smarter than this. What were you thinking, Francine? Her father continued. Tears streamed down Francine's face. I don't know who the father is, she lied. Her mother was speechless. Francine didn't know who to worry about more, herself or her parents. Maybe it would be easier if they were just angry, because if they found out who the father was, it would become a scandal for both the mayor's family and hers. I'm sorry, was all she could say. From the moment her mother found out, she stopped speaking to Francine. Lately, Francine found herself overly emotional, crying over the smallest things. Still, she pushed through her daily routine. That day, she had to attend an event for coverage, and she knew Jasper would be there. The guests were in formal attire, dressed to impress. Francine wore a black satin gown that immediately turned heads. Her fair skin stood out against the elegant fabric. From across the room, Jasper saw her. She was speaking with other media personnel, but he couldn't take his eyes off her. To him, she looked even more beautiful than before. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together, and let's get this party started, the flamboyant MC shouted into the mic. How's everyone feeling tonight? Come on, this is an engagement party. Francine froze. Engagement? The applause erupted. Cheers followed as the crowd turned to face the couple on stage, Mayor Jasper and Miss Hidalgo. Francine's heart dropped. She had no idea this was the real purpose of the event. She held back tears, trying not to break down in front of everyone. She hadn't even had the chance to tell Jasper the truth. And now he was engaged. She gently rested her hand on her stomach, feeling the small life growing inside her. She turned to leave and headed for the restroom. As she stepped out, she came face to face with Jasper again. You're here, he said, surprised. Francine forced a smile. Of course. You're the man of the hour, after all. Were you crying? Jasper asked, noticing her red-rimmed eyes. No, she said quickly. By the way, congratulations. Enjoy your night with your future wife. She tried to walk past him, but he moved to block her path. I'm not feeling well, so I won't stay long, she added. Don't worry. I'll write a glowing article about your engagement. I don't know what you're talking about, Jasper replied. Francine gave a faint, sad smile and walked away. She went home sobbing. Her parents were waiting for her in the living room. What's wrong? Her mother asked. It's Mayor Jasper, Francine blurted through tears. He's the father of the baby. Her parents were stunned into silence. She had to tell them. There was no point in hiding it anymore. I don't want to cause trouble, she pleaded. He's getting married. I just want a quiet life away from all of this. She nearly dropped to her knees, begging. Her mother and father embraced her, trying to calm her down. This won't be good for the baby, her father finally said, rubbing her back. 6 years passed. Francine had changed. Life had changed her. But one thing remained constant, her love and devotion to the little angel she was raising, Franco. He looked so much like Jasper that every time she saw her son's face, memories came rushing back. With the help of her parents, she was able to raise him while living in the city. Even though her family was well off, Francine refused to rely on them, not even for milk or diapers. She wanted to raise Franco on her own terms. Now, for the first time in 6 years, she was returning to her hometown. The university she graduated from had invited her to be the guest speaker at the commencement ceremony. She hadn't wanted to go back, but her parents had political matters to handle and needed her presence. She couldn't say no, so she came home this time with her son. We really appreciate you coming, the university dean told her as she waited in the guest room before the ceremony. How could I refuse? Francine replied politely. You look even more beautiful now, the dean added. Thank you. How's your son? He's outside with my parents. There were rumors, of course. People in town whispered that she had married a foreigner and been abandoned. Others said she had adopted the child from a relative. Francine chose to ignore them. She had no interest in explaining herself to anyone. That's Mayor Jasper, said Professor Miller, suddenly appearing at the door. He's also a guest today. I'll go greet him. Of course, Francine said, her voice faltering a bit, her chest tightened, her heart beat faster. She'd heard all the rumors about Jasper, too, how this would be his last term as mayor, and how he was planning to run for governor in the upcoming election. She turned to the door, and there he was, Mayor Jasper Sanchez. He spotted her almost instantly. Francine pretended not to notice and made her way toward the exit, but he walked up and stood in front of her. Hi. Oh, hi, Mr. Mayor. How have you been? She asked, her tone polite but distant. He stared at her, concern in his eyes. Something about the way he looked at her was different, but she didn't linger on it. I didn't know you'd be here, he said. Well, surprise, she replied. He looked older, more mature, but still unmistakably Jasper. Francine's mind raced. Did he see Franco? Was he putting things together? My son's still outside, she thought nervously. When did you come back? I thought you weren't planning on returning, he said. I'm just here for the event. I'll be going back to the city soon, she replied. And you? How's married life? She asked, eyebrows raised. Jasper frowned. What? Well, last I checked, you were engaged to the governor's daughter 6 years ago, she said. Are you married now? Jasper shook his head. Oh, I remember that party. But no, I'm not married. That whole thing was just a stunt. The engagement was arranged to help the governor's public image for his Senate run, but no wedding ever happened. Francine's heart skipped. Really? If it wasn't her, then I'd been busy. I'm committed to this province, he said. Before Francine could respond, the dean interrupted them. Excuse me. Sorry to cut this short, but the ceremony's about to begin. Let's take our places. Of course, thank you, Francine replied. Jasper leaned in. Can we talk after this? Francine shook her head quickly. I don't think so. I'm jet-lagged, and I'm really busy. Soon, the graduation ceremony began, and it was time for her speech. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed faculty members, proud parents, distinguished guests, and most importantly, the graduating class of St. George University, Francine began, her voice calm and strong. After her speech, she quietly slipped away to the parking lot where her parents and Franco were waiting. Mommy! Franco ran to her and jumped into her arms. You were amazing on stage. Of course I was, baby, she said, smiling. Where do you want to eat? Francine's parents exchanged a knowing glance. They could tell she was in a hurry, and they knew why. Suddenly, Jasper appeared nearby, clearly surprised to see the family. Their cars were parked next to each other. Who's he? Franco asked innocently. Francine's heart pounded. Jasper's eyes locked on the boy. Your son? Jasper asked, eyes wide. Francine forced a calm smile. Yes, I have a son. We have somewhere to go, Mr. Mayor. Take care. She turned, holding Franco close, and got into the car. Jasper stood frozen, watching them drive away. Franco was already fast asleep in Francine's arms when they arrived back at the house. I'll take him to his room, Francine said softly to her parents. Once Franco was settled and tucked in, Francine stood still, staring at his peaceful face. She knew deep down, now that they were back in town, there was no way she could continue hiding the truth about who his father was, and eventually, the world would know, too. You're still thinking about what happened earlier, her mom asked, standing in the doorway. Let's not talk here. He might hear us, Francine replied. They both went downstairs. Every time Franco asked why he didn't have a dad, she told him the same story, that his father was working abroad to provide for them. She always thought she'd have more time before the truth came out. She wasn't ready. Not like this. Why haven't you told Jasper? Her mother asked. I can't yet. Besides, I don't want Franco's name tied to the mess that is their family. You don't want him to know who his real dad is? It's not that, Francine replied. I'm scared. I don't think I can handle it if they reject him or me. That family has power, influence, and a reputation to protect. I don't want my son to be hurt. That's why I've decided we're leaving tomorrow. But what about your aunt and uncle's request? They need your help for the upcoming elections. You're the only one who can complete their party's lineup. Francine shook her head. I'm not sure. I have no experience in politics. I've never dreamed of it, and what they're asking is too much. They want me to run for mayor. I never even ran for student council. People will laugh. Why not your dad? She asked. He's a lawyer. He'd be better for it. He can't run. His citizenship isn't resolved yet, her mother replied. Listen, we're not expecting you to win. We just need a complete lineup. I could do it, Francine said reluctantly. But not for mayor. Isn't there someone else? That's the position your dad was supposed to take, her mother explained. But he's not eligible. Please, the deadline for candidacy submission is near. Francine sighed. She already had so much on her mind, and now this. I'm not sure, Mom. I'll think about it, she replied. 3 days later, Francine was standing alongside her aunt and uncle, managers of the campaign team. She was holding her certificate of candidacy, ready to file it. She tried her best to smile for the cameras. To her surprise, many people supported her. She had a reputation as a local journalist. Her smile faded the moment she saw Jasper walk in. He was running for governor under the rival party. His eyes widened when he saw her. You're running for mayor? He asked. Do I look like I'm joking? She replied coldly. Jasper chuckled. You didn't know a thing about politics before, and you used to hate my family. I guess you're a hypocrite now, just like the rest of us. What did you just say? Francine couldn't hide her irritation. She thought he had changed. Clearly, she was wrong. I guess I'll see you around, Miss Reyes. Or wait, what's your husband's last name? Maybe I should call you that. I don't have a husband, she snapped. Jasper froze. He was about to say something, but Francine turned and walked away to submit her papers. After filing, the campaign period officially began, and Francine got busy with her team. They didn't have a budget for banners or posters, but she didn't care. She wasn't aiming to win. As she handed out flyers and greeted people in town, she suddenly heard loud music and cheering. A flashy car passed by. It was Jasper's campaign team. He waved confidently at everyone, even blowing a kiss in Francine's direction. He's so full of himself, she muttered under her breath. That night, there was a meeting scheduled in a local neighborhood gym. Unfortunately, it coincided with Jasper's own event. Great, Francine muttered. Of all nights. Let it go, her aunt whispered. We can't do anything about it. The village captain arrived shortly after. I'm sorry, he said, but we can't ask the other party to leave. You'll have to share the stage. So, it'll be like a debate, he added. We're not prepared for that, Francine's campaign manager protested. No, we're good, Francine replied firmly. Are you sure? Her aunt asked. Yes, we're not backing down. Then Jasper walked in. Look who's here, he said smugly. Good evening, Mr. Sanchez, Francine greeted him with a tight smile. Didn't expect to run into you again so soon. We didn't either, Miss Reyes. Jasper was about to respond when suddenly gunshots rang out. Chaos erupted. People screamed and scrambled for cover. Jasper instinctively grabbed Francine's hand. Where are you taking me? She shouted. Somewhere safe. It's dangerous here. In the panic, Francine stumbled and fell. Ow! Why'd you let go? She cried. I'm sorry. Come on. He helped her up, and they ran together toward the parking lot. He got her into the car first, then jumped in himself. As the crowd fled in every direction, Jasper drove them away from the scene. Francine's heart was pounding. She couldn't stop shaking. After some time, they reached a quiet side road, an old shortcut to town. It was dark, barely used. We're safe now, Jasper said, exhaling. Francine looked at him. Who were those people? Probably someone from the third party. There are 3 of us running. Someone's trying to intimidate us. This is insane, she muttered. Now you see what politics is really like. So why are you here? Jasper asked. Are you scared you might lose, or are you just intimidated by women? Francine shot back. I'm just concerned, he replied. Especially now. Francine froze. He was going to bring up her son. I know what I'm doing, Francine said quickly, cutting him off. Silence fell between them before Jasper spoke again, his tone softer. How is he? Who? Your son. What's his name again? Franco, Francine replied briefly. I don't mean to intrude, but how come he doesn't have a father? I mean, no one's ever mentioned. Francine turned to him sharply, her eyes narrowing. You still don't get it, do you? She almost said aloud. But instead, she said, you don't have to ask if you're not ready for the answer. He's gone. Franco's father is dead. That's why I'm a single mom now. She lied. We're doing fine even without him. Jasper didn't say anything right away. I don't know why, but when I saw Franco, something about him felt familiar. I remembered something. I just can't quite explain it. Francine looked away, nervous. It wasn't the incident earlier that had shaken her. It was Jasper's curiosity about her son. "We should go back. Things might have settled down by now," she said quickly. "Yeah, we should," Jasper agreed. An hour later, Francine arrived back at her family home. Franco was sound asleep. She checked on him, then smiled as she tucked him in. "Your arrogant daddy said he felt dizzy," she whispered to the sleeping boy. Figures. The next morning, Francine woke early. Franco was still curled up beside her. She kissed his forehead before quietly getting out of bed. That day, her schedule included a donation drive, an outreach campaign activity that involved handing out food and supplies to underprivileged children. "Why are they here?" Francine asked, noticing another tent nearby. Jasper was there, too, helping unload donation boxes. "People just pick which line they want to join," said Mrs. Cruz, the coordinator. When Jasper spotted Francine, he gave her a simple nod. She ignored him and kept distributing food. 3 hours passed, and the line still hadn't cleared. Francine felt exhausted and hungry. She slipped behind the tent to get a quick bite in private. She was just about to eat when someone tapped her shoulder. "Jesus, you scared the hell out of me," Francine gasped, holding her chest. It was Jasper. "What are you doing here?" she snapped. "Eating? Am I not allowed?" "You're on the opposing team. Go back to your tent." "I'd rather eat here." "Don't bother me," she muttered. "Here, take this, too. Don't just eat soup. How will you have energy to take care of your kid if you don't eat properly? No wonder you're so skinny." Jasper sat down a 3-layer lunchbox in front of her. He opened it to reveal homemade chicken adobo, salad, and fruit. "What's the catch? Feeling sorry for me because I'm a single mom?" she asked. He shook his head. "Of course not. Just eat, please." Francine stayed silent. Deep down, she found the gesture sweet. As the campaign progressed, she noticed the rival parties' tactics were getting dirtier. Rumors began circulating. Flyers and banners were being torn down. Frustrated, Francine stormed into Jasper's campaign office. "Miss Reyes, you can't come in. Mr. Sanchez isn't here," one of the bodyguards said. "I'm not leaving until you bring him out. You and your team are behind this mess." Suddenly, the office door opened. Jasper stepped out, surprised to see her. "What are you doing here?" he asked. "We need to talk," Francine snapped. "All right, come in." He gestured for the guards to let her through. She followed him into the office and closed the door behind her. "What took you so long?" "Are you hiding?" she accused. "Hiding from what?" "Someone's been taking down our tarps." "It's illegal." "I thought you were the one who said people need concrete evidence before making accusations," Jasper said calmly. "You're a journalist. You should know better." Francine froze. "My team didn't do anything. We're playing fair. If someone's targeting you, it's not us. It's probably the other party. Think for a second." "So now you're saying I don't think. Am I wrong?" Fuming, Francine walked up to him, hand raised to slap him, but Jasper caught her wrist midair. "If I were you, I'd go home and take care of your son." Her other hand swung up, this time landing squarely on his face. Jasper stepped back, jaw clenched. Then, in a split-second reaction, he pulled her close and kissed her hard. Francine shoved him, but he didn't let go. He turned her around and backed her up onto the desk. She couldn't resist anymore. Her body responded to every kiss, every touch. Suddenly, memories from the past came flooding back for both of them. Jasper's lips trailed down her neck. Reality snapped back. Francine pushed him away. Both were flushed, breathless. "I'm sorry," Jasper whispered. Without another word, Francine turned and walked out. "Damn it, Jasper," he muttered under his breath, resisting the urge to follow her. Francine, back home, lay in bed, staring at the ceiling in silence. Her son stirred beside her. Mommy, is something wrong? Huh? No, baby. Mommy's just thinking. When you're sad, we should go outside so you'll feel happy again. She smiled faintly. Of course. When I'm not busy, we'll play and eat all the chocolate we want. Yay! Now go to sleep. Mommy,